Hello and welcome to the World Report. You're watching NDTV. I'm Divya Vatwa. Let's get to our top story, and that's big visuals coming in from Ahmedabad this morning. Prime Minister Modi and German Chancellor Merz were seen together at the Sabarmati Riverfront, taking part in the International Kite Festival. A strong cultural start to the high-level diplomacy. This marks Chancellor Merz's first official visit to India as India and Germany celebrate 25 years of this strategic partnership. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi personally received the Chancellor at the Sabarmati Ashram, paying tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. After the Gujarat outreach, the focus now shifts to crucial bilateral talks later today, where both leaders are set to deepen cooperation in trade, technology, climate action, defense, as well as global geopolitical. This is a geopolitical coordination. From Bapu's ashram to strategic talks, India-Germany ties are clearly flying high today. Let's just also get you more news coming in, and this is from Ambassador Designate who has assumed his duties at the US Embassy in New Delhi today. We're talking about, while delivering his opening statement, the 39-year-old said that there is a great friendship between Trump and Modi and that the partnership between both the countries is the most crucial one of the century. Adding that real friends always resolve differences, the ambassador designate's appointment comes at a very sensitive moment in the India-US ties, which has come under the biggest strain over trade issues. He succeeds Eric Garcetti, who stepped down earlier in 2025, leaving the embassy without a permanent ambassador for much of the past year. In the post, as far as social media site X is concerned, Gore earlier wrote that great to be back in India, incredible opportunities ahead for our two nations. Gore was sworn in as the US ambassador to India back in November at the White House. Prior to this, he had visited India in October, met with Prime Minister Modi as well as S. Jaishankar, and also with the National Security Advisor. Following Gore's swearing-in ceremony, it is the US President Donald Trump has said that he was entrusting Gore to further strengthen the strategic and economic as well as security ties when it comes to New Delhi and to deepen America's fantastic relationship with Prime Minister Modi.
And what an incredible way to be back in this incredible nation as your next U.S. ambassador. When President Trump asked me to come here, I was thrilled. I remember President Trump remembers his last visit here. I was with the president last week. And as we had dinner right after New Year's, he recounted his incredible experience visiting here and also his great friendship with the great Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi.
Switching tracks now, as the protests in Iran reach for a third consecutive week with 500 reported deaths in the unrest. It's US President Donald Trump who's now weighing military action in Iran as well as cyber attacks and additional sanctions on Tehran. Iran has also hit back, warning that the US troops and Israel would be considered legitimate targets if the military, this is the US military, intervenes. Meanwhile, Iran's reformist president Masoud has promised to listen to protesters but accused rioters of trying to destroy the entire society.
هم به رئیس جمهور متوهم آمریکا دارم. مراقب باش مشاوره هایی که به تو برای حمله به ایران میدهند از جنس مشورت هایی نباشند که گفتی مشهد سقوط کرده است. لذا برای اینکه دچار خطای محاسباتی نشوی بدان که در صورت اقدام برای حمله به ایران هم سرزمین اشغالی و هم تمام مراکز و پایگاه‌های نظامی و کشتی‌های آمریکا در منطقه هدف مشروع ما خواهند بود.
And hundreds of demonstrators have taken to the streets across the globe, whether it's in Paris, London to Barcelona and even in Milan, in a show of solidarity with protesting Iranians and calling for the return of monarchy and the exiled crown prince. Funerals were held in Iran for members of the security forces killed in the protests. Let's listen into how Iran's parliament and its streets are responding.
جوانان عزیزی که تو این رابطه بر اساس تحلیل‌هایی که به حق یا به ناحق در ذهنشون خلق کردن، از اونا می‌خوایم که فریب این آشوبگران و تروریست‌ها رو نخورن. مملکت مال ماست. اینا عزت و سربلندی این آب و خاک رو نمیخوان. در جنگ 12 روزه اسرائیل و آمریکا اومدن که ما رو زانو در بیارن، نشد برای اینکه این مردم نذاشتن. اینا معترضین نیستن، اینا اغتشاشگرن. معترض رو ما قبول داریم، ما نگرانی ها اونا رو قبول داریم، با تمام وجود داریم تلاش میکنیم که این نگرانی ها رفع بشه و هم مردم عزیزمون میخوایم با قدرت در مقابل او کسی که اغتشاشگره، داره به اموال مردم لطمه میزنه. بازاری چه گناهی کرده این میان دکونش آتش میزنن؟ ما مشکلات اونا رو هم فکر خواهیم کرد و کمک خواهیم کرد و حل خواهیم کرد. ولی
ישראל עוקבת בדריכות על הנעשה באיראן. הפגנות למען החירות התפשטו ברחבי המדינה. העם בישראל, העולם כולו, משתאה מול הגבורה האדירה של אזרחי איראן. ישראל תומכת במאבקם לחופש ומגנה בתקיפות את מעשי הטבח ההמוני באזרחים חפים מפשע. כולנו תקווה שהאומה הפרסית תשתחרר מקרוב מעול העריצות, וכשיום זה יגיע, ישראל ואיראן יחזרו להיות שותפות נאמנות בבניית עתיד של שגשוג ושלום לשני העמים.
Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. But this is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran. It's an amazing thing to watch. They've done a bad job. They've treated their people very badly, and now they're being paid back. So let's see what happens. We're watching it. We're watching it very closely.
امروز آمریکا غلط میفهمه مسائل رو، محاسبش اشتباهه و غلطه. ایران رو نمیشناختند، هنوزم نمیشناسن. ایران رو نشناختند و غلط برنامه ریزی کردند. امروز هم نمیشناسند و غلط برنامه ریزی میکنند دشمنان ما. اون روز در اثر برنامه ریزی غلط شکست خوردند. امروز هم آمریکا بر اثر برنامه ریزی های غلط خود.
And now the internet blackout in Iran has only significantly increased people's willpower to lead a revolution digitally. Here's a special report on Iran's digital uprising.
In the shadowed grip of an internet blackout imposed by the Iranian regime, a resilient spark ignited. A digital uprising where the silenced voices of millions roared louder than ever before. What began as outcries against rampant inflation soon turned into a release of pent-up anti-regime frustration. Early reports of casualties was only met with a dismissive retort from Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, who callously invalidated the anguish of his people.
شب در تهران در بعضی جایی دیگه یه مش تخریبگر آمدن ساختمان متعلق به کشور خودشون رو خراب کردن. مثلا فرض کنید فلان ساختمان دیواری رو خراب کردن برای که دل رئیس جمهور آمریکا خوش بیاد.
Following a call from Iran's exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, a mass of people show resistance and take to the streets in overnight protest.
اولین فراخوان خود را امروز با شما در میان میگذارم و از شما دعوت میکنم که این جمعه و پنجشنبه 18 و 19 دی ماه را سر ساعت 8 شب همگی چه در خیابان‌ها یا حتی از منازل خودتون
The authorities retaliated with severing internet access nationwide and barricading international calls, plunging the nation into isolation. This digital cage ensnared 85 million souls, cutting them off from the world's gaze and influence. Yet, beneath this enforced veil of darkness, the spirit of rebellion refused to dim. With fires set ablaze in Tehran and crowds cheering despite the crackdown, Iranians are pushing back stronger than ever. From setting the City Hall building on fire in Karaj to protesters revolting in Hamadan, Kerman, Zahedan, Banak and countless other cities. Amidst the chaos, Elon Musk's Starlink emerged as a beacon of hope, earning revered status among activists for piercing the blackout with satellite internet.
This is a message for Elon Musk on behalf of the Iranian people. First of all, I want to personally thank you for everything that you've done. While the rest of the world looked away, your kindness and generosity will not be forgotten. This is also for anybody else who can facilitate getting Starlink or internet access into Iran.
Women particularly are making an impact, lighting a cigarette from the flames, eating away pictures of Khomeini. Revolution is now a 90s trend. It is coming back stronger than ever. But how long will the protest last? Will it bear fruit to the blood of at least 116 people? Will it end the regime of the oppressive supreme leader? Only time will tell. With Kirtana Sam, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Now, as protests continue to rage in Iran, with the government crackdown growing more and more as far as those violence eruptions that are taking place, while it is US President considering military action in Iran. My colleague Disha Bakshi spoke with British-Iranian activist Blake on the sentiments on the ground and what these developments really mean. Listen in.
Hali, my first question to you is, help us understand what the sentiment is like on the ground in Iran. Of course, there are slogans calling for the fall of the Iranian Supreme Leader Khomeini's regime. But at the same time, is there support for the exiled Crown Prince?
Thank you for having me on. Yes, we are seeing a historical milestone in the people's movement. And what we have seen is initially what started in the bazaar and started with the merchants. Rapidly grew into political unrest, which meant that people from all ages, all walks of life actually joined these. And following the call of the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi on the 6th of January, with people came out in what I can describe as a sea of numbers, that we have never seen before in all 31 provinces. We have seen chants of Javid Shah, which means long live the king, and this is the last battle, Pahlavi will return, in all of the locations from the crowds.
US President Trump has repeatedly threatened the Iranian regime and also expressed support for the Iranian protests, saying that the US supports these protests. Not just US President Trump, but various US senators have also said that they support the protests and have threatened against the Iranian regime to stop their violent crackdown against these protesters. How do the people of Iran see this US support? Do they welcome the support by President Trump?
They welcome these words. They are a word of support to the Iranian people, stating that America is behind them, and that's a very strong leadership that we did not see before in our previous protests. We did not see much of support and backing from previous presidents, such as Biden and Obama, and therefore people are welcoming it. And I think those very few words that he shared on social media made people braver to go out without any ammunition or boots on the ground. So that in itself, it speaks for itself. But from what I hear firsthand from protesters on the streets, they saw that as an encouragement that this is the only chance they have to get out. And they have done so. And there are thousands and millions of paying for that with their lives.
And federal prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chairman. We're talking about Jeremy Powell in a video announcing the probe. He said that the US Justice Department served the agency with subpoenas. Now, he has gone on to say that the department has threatened a criminal indictment over testimony he gave to the Senate committee about renovations to the Federal Reserve buildings. He called the probe unprecedented. He said that he believed that it has been opened due to him drawing Donald Trump's, this is in regard to Donald Trump's ire over refusing to lower interest rate. Listen in to what he said.
I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts.
Moving on to Hong Kong, a court convened a hearing today to hear arguments about the sentencing of media tycoon Jimmy Lai and his conviction under a national security law that could land him in jail for the rest of his life. The 78-year-old is the founder of the now defunct Apple Daily newspaper and an outspoken critic of China's Communist Party. In December, he was found guilty of conspiring with others to collude with foreign forces and conspiracy to publish seditious articles. His conviction was raised. It really has raised concerns about the curtailing of press freedom in the former British colony.
作為一個香港人嚟支持黎生喺呢個香港嘅叫做新聞界又好，維護新聞自由都好。佢喺維護新聞自由嗰方面，如果你係記者，我諗你冇人會否定佢對新聞嘅自由嘅支持嘅堅持。
A bride and her groom were among at least 8 people killed in Islamabad on Sunday when a gas cylinder exploded after their wedding reception. The blast occurred as there were guests who had gathered to celebrate. The couple were sleeping at the house, causing part of the house to collapse. Authorities said an investigation had been launched into the cause of the blast, which left at least 7 people injured. The Prime Minister has offered condolences to the families of the victims. Kurdish fighters were evacuated from a contested neighborhood in Syria. The move could bring an end to several days of violence that has taken place. These are violent clashes with government forces. Meanwhile, residents were eager to return to their homes as the fighters were evacuated.
إن شاء الله بيكون أحسن إن شاء الله يا رب إن شاء الله نحن متفائلين بالخير ومتأملين بالخير يعني هلا رحت عن شباب قال لي بس استنينا العصريات إن شاء الله نحن مشان تفجيرات لغم مع لغم ترجع بيتك ما له علاقة بك.
And relatives of victims of North Macedonia's deadly nightclub fire staged a vigil for the relatives and the victims of the bar fire in the Swiss ski resort. Now, they expressed their solidarity with the families of the victims of the inferno in the resort's bar, which left 40 mainly young people dead. Lighting candles in silence, they remember their own loved ones who lost their lives in March of 2025 when this was a flame that engulfed the roof of the crowded Pulse nightclub, killing 63 people and injuring more than 200.
Pour les mers de Grande Montana, d'une mer à une autre, nous vous tenons la main, non pour vous consoler, car aucune consolation n'existe, mais pour que vous ne soyez pas seuls face à une douleur qui n'est pas d'un homme. Vous n'êtes pas seul et vous ne le serez jamais. Depuis Kochani, une vie qui a enseveli ses rêves avec ses enfants. Nous vous adressons une étreinte qui ne guérit pas, qu'il repose en paix dans la lumière et dans un amour qui ne s'éteint jamais.
Moving on to more news, and it's Pope Leo, in fact, who has baptized 20 babies in Sistine Chapel on Sunday, continuing an annual tradition that marks the end of the Christmas holiday period at the Vatican. The pontiff personally administered the baptism to the infants who are the children of the Vatican employees. The parents approached the baptism font placed within a bronze base representing the tree of life.
vi auguro di continuarlo con gioia lungo l'anno appena iniziato e per tutta la vita, certi che il Signore accompagnerà sempre i vostri passi.
And with that, we're slipping into a short break. Back with a whole lot more. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, India has come out with a proposal requiring smartphone makers to share source code with the government. Additionally, they are required to make several software changes as part of the security measures that the government has incorporated, prompting behind-the-scenes opposition from giants like Apple and from Samsung. The package of 83 security standards would also include a requirement to alert the government to major software updates. The tech companies have countered that it lacks any global precedent and risks revealing proprietary details. The plan is part of Prime Minister Modi's efforts to boost security of online user data. Malaysia on Sunday temporarily blocked access to Grok. This is joining a growing list of countries taking action. The action comes after the AI chatbot sparked a global backlash by allowing users to create and publish sexualized images. Now, it is Elon Musk-led firm behind this platform on Thursday said that it would restrict image generation to paying subscribers. Now, addressing the lapses that allowed users on X to produce sexualized content for others has often been done without consent.
This one's really exciting to me. It comes out February 25th on Prime, but it's my first as a producer here, which is really exciting, and I get to play a part which is not very common for women, a female pirate, and so many of them existed in the 1800s, and we're going after the rated R, it's a brutal, bloody movie, and I hope it'll be fun to watch.